All right, Kara, thanks so much for being on the Friends with Wheels podcast. If I could just start off by asking, what the Progress Center is and how it started, that'd be great, and we can go from there.
Of course, Progress Center actually started in 1963, and at that time there were no laws surrounding education for children with special needs. And so a group of parents actually got together and decided that they were going to teach their kids in a private setting. And they had some doctors that came alongside them. And it started very, very small. And over the past 63 years, it's just continued to grow and to serve more children every year.
Mm-hmm. And so what kinds of services does the Progress Center offer?
So we have a program for children ages 0 to 3, and with that program, we offer our services mostly in the home or community setting, and those services might be speech therapy, occupational therapy, physical therapy, or just general developmental support and education. And then we also have a new program for children ages 3 to 12, which is an outpatient therapy clinic. And in that setting, we have kids come in for therapy and they can have either speech therapy or occupational therapy.
Mm-hmm. And what sorts of and how do you sort of like help indiv children with disabilities, make sure that they have the tools and resources they need to thrive?
hmm So every child who comes in for our 0 to 3 program has a family resources coordinator, and that person is in charge of putting all of the plan together for them and making sure they have the resources they need. We also have another support, which is a family support specialist, and they do even more intense support for the family. So during the years of 0 to 3, our services really wrap around the whole family, of course, centered on the child's needs, but we can do things like help them apply for Social Security. We can help them with housing resources on a referral basis. We don't actually do those services, but we can make referrals for those type of services. We also have several groups that meet in our center, and we have a group that is an American Sign Language group. We have a music group, a reading group, a play group. We've done autism play groups, and those are opportunities for families to get out in the community. Um, Typically, raising a child with special needs can make it difficult sometimes to participate in community activities, and we want to provide as many opportunities as we can.
Mm-hmm. So, which brings me to my next question. How does sort of the integration of the community, how can that sort of help individuals with disabilities, like achieve their best potential? Because you have these music groups, you have all sorts of groups. So how can that sort of help in some way, if that makes sense?
Right. So our groups are open to community members. You don't have to have a child with special needs to come into them, so we consider it an inclusive environment. We also take the kids out and do field trip type of trips. We go to the fire station, to the library, places where typically developing children would visit. And our hope is that it helps families to feel more confident visiting places in the community with their child and not to become isolated, which is easy to do when you are raising a child with significant needs.
Mm-hmm. And what sorts of stakeholders do you work with closely? Is there like organizations that you work with closely to support your efforts at the Progress Center, or what's going on there?
hmm we are in Longview, Washington, and we have an early learning coalition that meets. There are service providers in that group from different service agencies, and we collaborate. Some of the representatives are from Head Start, Early Head Start, Child Cares. We partner with the United Way. We really have a pretty strong and tightly knit community here in Longview because we're a fairly small community. And so organizations really support each other in the work that they're doing.
Mm-hmm. And what impact does the Progress Center have to reach out to the not only the disability community but also beyond that to like family members, to like pe family members of people with disabilities, to close friends, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm. Well, we try to include families in everything that we do. We also, when we're doing our home visits, if there are grandparents in the home, if there are aunts and uncles in the home, we include them in our therapy services and our education services. And the model that we support is really a family training model because we only come a few times a month to see the child or maybe once a week. And the child's really going to benefit from the family's understanding how they can support their own child's development. So we train the families, we interact and have them be an active part of our sessions that we have with them in the hope that the whole family will benefit and all of the family will come together and support the child's developmental progress.
Mm-hmm. And what have you learned during your time as executive director of the Progress Center? Is there anything that you sort of take away from watching individuals, kids with disabilities, in the center? What have you learned, basically?
Yes. So, I am a parent of a child with special needs. I actually have two children with special needs, so I think that's kind of a unique perspective. But I have learned so much from the families that we work with. I've learned that our children and their children are more alike than they're different. And I believe strongly that everyone belongs. I hope that I bring that to my leadership and am able to, encourage staff in that way. I've just learned that families are so strong and they just don't know what they don't know. But if you show them, they are more than able to be the best teachers for their children.
Mm-hmm. And is there anything that people should know about in terms of what the Progress Center is doing? What's coming up? Any sort of events that people should know about?
Well, we have a really active calendar of events. We have a special event almost every week. So I would point people to the Progress Center website, which is just www.theprogresscenter.org. And all of the activities are on there. We also do a lot of community outreach. So our family support specialists visit health fairs, school carnivals, um, pretty much any community event where they're able to. They'll have a booth there and they'll talk with families about Progress Center and the services in the hope that even if they may not need our services someday, they might know somebody who does. And so I feel like our mission really gets spread through word of mouth and that we really do have a strong community awareness of what we're able to do.
Mm-hmm. And lastly, how can the Progress Center be sort of that place where people with disabilities feel seen, included, heard? Because oftentimes in a lot of avenues, people with disabilities are often excluded from certain activities, certain
Right.
things. So how does the Progress Center create a more welcoming space, opening space for people with disabilities?
Right. Well, I mentioned our groups, and we actually right now are doing a building expansion. And part of that building expansion is going to be a community room where we hope to expand the number of events that are open to community members and with or without disabilities. So there is a focus on the future and expansion in that direction. Also, I think I did mention this, but we visit a lot of community events with our children. For example, this summer, the staff took, or this spring, staff took the kids to the fire station for Fire Safety Week. That was an inclusive visit where other families were there that didn't have children at Progress Center. We also visit the county fair each year with our students. And I think really just showing them that they belong, that they can go and be included in the community and that they're as important. And we've really been mindful of that and trying to expand our opportunities to uh, create an inclusive environment and inclusive community.
And finally, what can people do to learn more information about the Progress Center? What can they do basically to find out more information?
I think they can visit our website. There's a ton of information on the website. We also have a very active Facebook page. Our Facebook page includes all of our activities that are coming up. And as I said, community is welcome to those. I think also if they have a concern about their child and they aren't sure if their child might need a little extra help, they can just call us. They don't have to have a referral from their doctor. Families can refer their children and we can, do an evaluation and see if they need extra support.
Okay. All righty.